Hello, everyone, and welcome to the College Tracker Show. I am Victoria Allen, your host for today. I see you starting to come into the Zoom room. Welcome, welcome. And those watching via live stream, we're happy that you're here. If you have any questions, please make sure you write them in the chat or write them in the comment section if you're watching live. So we have Calvin University with us today. And so I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to our guests to introduce themselves, and then we'll get started. So Coach Emily, I'll start with you.
Yeah, hi, everybody. My name is Emily Ottenhoff. I'm the head women's soccer coach here at Calvin.
Miles.
Hi, I'm a freshman here at Calvin. I play hockey, and I'm from Canada.
And Katie.
Hey guys, my name is Katie Kramer, and I'm also a freshman here at Calvin. I run cross country and then track distance, and I'm from Toronto, Ontario.
Excellent. And we have Zach. We're just doing introductions. Hey, Zach.
Hello, everyone. My name is Zachary Sandoval, and I'm an international admissions counselor for Calvin University.
Excellent. Awesome. So we are going to go ahead and get started with Coach Emily, and we'll just start asking some questions. So make sure you write your questions in the chat that you have with Coach Emily. Then we're going to go to our student athletes, and then we'll go to admissions. Okay. So Coach Emily, can you just tell us more just about your role at the university and just more information about the program?
Yep. So like I said, I'm the head women's soccer coach. That's a full-time job for me. I'm a staff coach here at Calvin. My role is obviously focused on my team and my program, but other things within our department as well. And we have other coaches like that as well. All of our coaches are full-time coaches. Some are also faculty members because they've been at Calvin for a little bit longer, and that used to be the model. But as we continue to add a few more varsity athletic programs, other coaches as well are full-time staff members. It's really, as college athletics has continued to grow and develop, Division III has become more and more serious about recruiting high-level student athletes, and that basically is a full-time job for us. So when we're not in season, we're spending a lot of time doing that.
And then can you tell us more about your facilities?
Yeah, so at Calvin, we have some of the best facilities in Division III, and I'll be honest, across the country in Division II or Division I as well. I'm not here to say that our arena is better than University of Michigan's or something like that, but we do have the largest arena in Division III. It seats 5,000 people. It's our whole facility is about 12 years old. Are the new parts of it. We have an Olympic-sized pool that seats 500 people. We have an indoor track and tennis center, so it's a 200-meter track with 4 tennis courts in the middle. It gets used a lot this time of year as our indoor track and field events are happening. Tennis is on, lacrosse, men's lacrosse, women's lacrosse, softball, baseball, they're all utilizing that space. What else? We've got kind of some auxiliary gyms for recreation, but also for practices. And then outside, we're actually working on making some upgrades out there in the coming years here. We'll be putting in a new soccer stadium, a new football stadium, and some enhancements to our softball and baseball stadiums. We also have 2 weight rooms, an upper one that's open to our entire campus, a lower one that our varsity athletes are able to utilize. And probably these 2 people on the chat here with us, Katie and Miles, don't even realize this, but we're going to be redoing some of our facilities, some of our upstairs weight room stuff this summer to continue to allow our expanding department to be able to function at a high level. So when you walk in, I often hear, wow, this is amazing. This is like a D1 school. I'm sure these 2 get to utilize that a ton, locker rooms for our teams. And we know we need to keep adding some more of that stuff as well for all of our teams. So I think a lot of that is on the rise, and it's really exciting for our department.
Excellent. Thank you. And those that are continuing to join us, we are with Coach Emily right now. So write your questions in the chat or the Q&A box. So I'm going to bring this question in that was sent from Carmen. So as a grandparent, what could I be doing to support my grandson? Okay, so this is going towards like promoting themselves, who loves golf, but do you have any, and student athletes, if you have anything to add, what would you say when it comes to, what would you tell Carmen?
Yeah, so I think the first thing that whenever I do something like this is giving advice of starting to kind of figure out the types of places that you think would be a great fit for you academically and athletically. And for some people, I think of it as like a lot of different buckets that you need to fill. It's distance for some folks, education pieces, right? You need to make sure that the university has your major. Sometimes we hear from people who don't have their major, and I'm like, well, this wouldn't be a good place for you to, if it was golf, to come play golf, right? And so reaching out to coaches from the universities that you're interested in, throwing your name, your graduation year in there, throwing in any of your recent golf scores. For soccer, it'd be a highlight video, or any upcoming events that you have, and probably putting something in there, especially if it was Kelvin, about why you're interested, what specifically you're interested in about that school. That piques our interest as coach. I can say this. My email is open every day, the entire time I'm at work on my desktop. And so that's where I most directly get, recruits coming in, and you evaluate through those people as you go. And each coach functions differently in that and how they handle all of those. So you can't say it's going to be cookie cutter in that, but I think those are good ways in connecting and reaching out and trying to get some conversations with coaches, especially if you're interested in a school. Then, hey, go in a visit, go step your feet on the campus and get an idea. See if you're able to meet with the coach while you're there as well.
Thank you for that, Carmen. And if, let's just say, Calvin is a great fit for them, and they join a team and they're not getting as much playing time, what do you look for, or what do you suggest for them to earn playing time?
Oh man, that's a tough question. We're getting the heavy hitters here. I think a big thing, and I think Miles and Katie could probably, speak to a relationship with coaches and how those function at the college level. But that's really what it is. I'm working with adults and college kids. And so having a conversation with your coach, discussing that, asking specifically what would need to improve, being open to the feedback. Sometimes people will come in and ask me that question, and they don't actually want to hear the answer. And so that's where it gets tough in college. Our jobs are to get results. Even at Division III, I know we're not on TV all the time, but our jobs and what we desire to do here at Calvin, at least, is to try to get results. Not saying we don't try to grow or develop our student athletes. We wholeheartedly try to do that, but I have to play the people that I think are going to help us win. So understanding that development piece, understanding that very few people get to play in college athletics. And so you are separated by, there's a ton of people who play in high school, but now you're in the best of the best. And so it's going to be a competition every day. So being able to have feedback and then kind of digging your heels in and trying to take that feedback and put it to work.
And Katie and Miles, I will loop back to see what your thoughts are as well on that, just, getting playing time, just FYI. So Coach Emily, just before I just ask this question and switch to the student athletes, what academic resources do you have available?
Yeah, I get asked this question a lot. So oftentimes, do we do study tables? Do you have specific tutors for your athletes? At Division III, I actually think you're not allowed to do that, but at Calvin, meaning NCAA rules, but at Calvin, we do have free tutoring for all 100 and 200 level courses for our students. Generally, it's not just for student athletes. Miles and Katie might say our coach does have a certain time where we do studying together. I always joke, if I threw myself in a room with all my teammates, I'd get nothing done. And so it's kind of, there can be some specific things, to your team. So those academic resources, we do have a student support center. If you maybe have some sort of learning struggle, you need extra time to take a test, you can always go over there and they can help accommodate you on that. And also, similarly, if an injury occurs that's going to hinder you from taking a class, or you have to go get surgery, our athletic trainers are able to contact student support services and accommodate our students when they have a challenge on that kind of stuff. So I think being at Calvin, being at a smaller school, those connections are really close and tight for our student athletes. So if one of my student athletes is struggling, I'm like, can I walk you over to tutoring and chat with somebody over there? I also think some of your best resources are your teammates. They may have taken a course for you or a course ahead of you. They might have the book that they can sell to you. They might have an idea on how a prof is grading things or how they go about things. And so oftentimes I hear freshmen on the bus say, who took this chem class? And they're like, I did, right? And so having a good team environment where your teammates are able to help you is also a huge thing for our student athletes as well.
I agree. You have to use all your resources. Oh, excellent. All right. Well, thank you, Coach Emily. And you'll be here at the end for our Q&A. Yes?
Yep.
All right, perfect. So if you have any questions for Coach Emily, just make sure you can write those in the Q&A box or in the chat, and we will loop back with Coach Emily at the end. Excellent. Thank you. So Katie, I'll bring up Katie and Miles. Welcome, welcome. So Katie, I'll just kick off with you, and then Miles, you can, jump in just to add as well. Just tell us more about yourself and just describe your journey to just preparing for just being accepted at Calvin University.
Okay, so as I said before, I run cross country and track here at Calvin, and I'm a freshman. I'm from Toronto, Ontario. And so I'd say my journey, it was pretty linear. My mom went to Calvin, so ever since I was young, I kind of knew that this is like where I wanted to go or where I'd end up. That being said, I did apply to a bunch of schools. I applied to some Canadian schools and then some other American schools. And as I was getting my acceptances, I went on recruiting trips to different schools. So some were like more local, and then I applied to Dordt, which is in like Iowa. So that was pretty far for me. And then I would say I kind of narrowed it down to like my top 3 choices. So it was 2 schools in Canada and then Calvin. And then I visited all the schools. I visited Calvin and then the other 2. And I did like tours of the academic buildings. Actually at Calvin, I'm a kinesiology major, and I met the chair or one of the co-chairs of the kinesiology department here. And then like met with coaches, met with athletes. I actually got to like go on a run with one of the athletes because it was during the summertime, and that was a lot of fun. And then I'd say I kind of made my decision. I feel like for me personally, it was not the hardest decision I ever had to make because I kind of knew that this is where I wanted to go. I really wanted to go to a school that was like Christian and had world-class academics, which we do here at Calvin, and then had a really good athletic program where I was going to grow not only as an athlete, but as a person. So that's how I kind of decided on coming to Calvin.
And I just have a quick question because you got a lot done, okay, to get to Calvin. So did you like connect with people on social media? Like, did you find events that were happening? Like, how did you find all those things to do there?
Yeah, so I reached out to the coach, and then we were actually in the process of changing coaches. So when I reached out, it was our old coach, and now we have a new coach who it's her first cross country, first track season here. So I reached out to the coach, and then the old coach put me in contact with some of the upperclassmen on the team. And so that's how I got a lot of my information was from upperclassmen on the team. And then Calvin had a bunch of like discovery days, Fridays at Calvin. And I never actually ended up going to one of those because I always had races on the weekends of those. So I never ended up actually going to any of those, but I did get connected with like athletes here.
Nice. And over to you, Miles.
Yeah, my journey is kind of similar to Katie in the sense that my parents both went to Calvin. This is where they met. And my dad also actually played hockey here as well. So kind of just following his footsteps. But honestly, growing up, I never would have thought I would come to Calvin and like do the same things that they did. But it was more going through high school, playing hockey. It became a bigger part of my life. And I hit a few injuries, a few like roadblocks along the way that were kind of hard to get over. And so I was looking like, where am I going to go with hockey? Where am I going to go with school? And Calvin just ended up being the best option to continue doing both of those. just because it has obviously great academics, as Katie mentioned, and then also it has the hockey program that I can keep playing here while I'm going through school. So I don't know if I mentioned earlier, but I'm a biology major and I'm also doing pre-med. So obviously, if I'm looking to go to med school, that's quite a few years of schooling ahead of me. And so what it came down to for me was that I can keep playing hockey, I can keep playing really competitive hockey and at a high level. And then I can also just start my schooling, focus on it like while I'm still young. I don't have to take gap years, forget things. And I knew through like some research and some things that I heard that Calvin would be a really good place to prepare me for med school and for schooling beyond. So like, yes, it was partially athletics that brought me here, but it was definitely a big part of the academics here.
And I'll stick with you, Miles, and just ask you the next question of what does a typical day look like for you as a student athlete?
Yeah, so for me, being on the hockey team, we don't have our rink on campus, or we have a rink about 5 minutes away from campus, and we practice in the mornings. So I wake up around 5 a.m. We're on the ice at 5:50. We practice until 7. After practice, I come back here, get some breakfast, and then I have a few hours before classes start where I can go get breakfast. I usually take a nap because sleep's really important. Never can get enough in university. So usually take a nap, maybe finish up some homework that I have, go to my classes for the day, and then we usually have our team lifts at around 4 o'clock in the gym that Coach Emily had mentioned. So we do our team lift, go to dinner usually as a team, try and keep that community together, and then I usually spend nights studying or hanging out with friends, depending on how much work I have that week.
That is a long day, so I'm happy to hear that you're able to get a nap in. That's good. What about you, Katie?
Yeah, so fortunately, my days look pretty different from Miles because I don't think I can handle the 5 a.m. wake ups. But usually for me, I'll wake up during cross country season, we have one morning lift that is 7 a.m. on Mondays. So for those, I wake up a little earlier, but on like a regular day of the week, I'll wake up probably like 8 a.m., go to breakfast because very important, especially if you want to sustain the athlete lifestyle. And then I'll go to my classes for the day. This semester, my classes are pretty weird where like Monday and Wednesday, I'll have classes from 11 to 4:50. But then on Tuesday, I only have one class during the day. And then Thursday, I only have 2. So I'll go to class, and then for track and cross country, our practice time starts like between 3 to 4. It differs from day to day. So I'll go to practice, and then we'll usually have like an extra that we'll do after. So whether that's lifting in the weight room or doing core or band work, it differs from day to day. So that usually takes me to around 6 or 6:30, and then I'll have a quick shower, and then the team, we eat dinner together every night. It's one of our times that we can all hang out and we can all like debrief after a long day. And a lot of the time when you're running, it's hard to have full conversation because you're pretty tired. So it's time when I get to like catch up with my teammates, find out how their days went, and then same as Miles, homework, hanging out with friends. The evenings are pretty nice being a runner because we don't ever have games like throughout the weeks on evenings. We'll just have meets on the weekends. So it's really nice that I have like my evenings are always free to do homework or hang out with friends, which is really nice.
And what tips do you have to just balance it all? So how do you, do you use an app? Are you just writing down? Like, how do you balance it all?
Yeah, it's pretty, I don't know. I've tried different things. It's challenging, especially being an athlete, because a lot of the time you come home from practice or you come home from a meet and you just want to take a nap or just do whatever, relax. But obviously, I'm also pre-med, so I have a decent amount of schoolwork that I have to keep up on. So I'd say I put it in reminders or notes on my phone, which is really helpful because I usually have my phone with me and it'll like ding me. And I wear an Apple Watch as well, so it'll ding me there as well. So that's really helpful. But I also have a big calendar in my room, which is more for like long-term plans. So if I have like an exam next week, I'll write that, or a paper coming up due, I'll write that down as well, because it's really hard sometimes when like on a Friday night you have an assignment due, but you have a meet on a Saturday morning that you're leaving at 7 a.m. for. And like the only thing you can focus on is like, oh, I have conferences tomorrow, I'm stressed about that. Sometimes it's really easy to forget about doing assignments. So I would say I think that having two like reminder methods is important. So like something you'll have for short-term stuff, like notes on your phone, and then something for long-term. So you can like look ahead and plan out with like your athletic schedule and your academic schedule.
And Miles, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, my methods are slightly different. I keep a notepad up on my computer, and every week on Sunday, I'll write down all my assignments that are due over the course of the week. And as I get through them, I'll start checking them off. And then anytime I get like some spare time, like I said, in the mornings, if I am feeling good after my nap and I have a little time, I'll try and work ahead on my assignments because it's always nice to be ahead. You never know what's going to happen with practices and with games and stuff. And usually our games are on the weekend, which is nice. But yeah, sometimes things get in the way. So it's always nice to be ahead and try and work as much as you can during the days and during times when you're focused to try and get stuff done. And then the other thing that I find really important is naps, just to help balance, because I find a lot of times it's really easy to stay up until like 1, 2 a.m. studying. You get in the zone or you have a big test the next day and you feel like you need to prepare more. But honestly, balancing sleep I found has been to be like the most important thing for me, especially with 5 a.m. wake ups, but just in general, getting enough sleep and getting enough rest and recovery and being ready for every day.
Yes, breakfast and naps. Excellent. So there's a question I want to loop back when I asked Coach Emily about playing time. So have you seen anything that helped with just increasing or helping a student athlete get playing time?
I can go. I guess in track and cross country, we don't really have like playing time, but there's certain meets when like only a select group will get to go, or only like at conference we can only have 4 runners per event. At conference and cross we can only have, or at regionals and cross we can only have like 7 runners, and then at nationals we only have those same 7 runners. So it's not really like playing time, but there are like the 7 who will like compete for us. And I think a big thing being a freshman coming in is just like first of all, having a good relationship with your coaches is really important. Like I'm only a freshman here and I'm super close with all of my coaches. Like I'll see them. We have a lot of coaches for cross and track. And some coaches like the high jump and like the pole vault coaches that I don't even work with. But it's really important to like create a good relationship from day one and just build trust and like communication with your coaches. Like I'll be walking through the field house and I'll see our sprints coach and I'll have a conversation with him. He's not my direct coach, but he still knows who I am and I know who he is. And we still like have that relationship. But I think another thing is just from like day one, showing your coaches that like you're dedicated. For track, like or for cross, we'll do our runs, but then we have extras. So we have like core work, band work, lifting. And I think it's really important from day one to show you're dedicated not only in your running, but you're doing those extra things to prove that you want to be a better athlete, because you may come in like 9th or 10th position, but a lot can change in a season. So you might be on the brink of running and not running. And if you're showing that you're dedicated, you're putting the work in, you're sleeping, you're taking your naps, you're doing everything you need to do to be a successful athlete, it can be like the difference between like, oh, should we let her run or should we rest her? So just like being dedicated and putting in work and like doing all the little things that can help you get to the next level.
Thank you, Katie. Miles, you want to add anything or you just agree 100%?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to use cliches, but hard work pays off. Like, and having that relationship with your coach is crucial because you want your coach to see that you're dedicated and that you're doing those extra things. And one of the things that I've noticed in my team specifically is preparation and focus and being ready for practices in the morning. Obviously, it's early, it's hard to get up and get ready for that, but just being prepared. And then for games as well, preparation has been a little bit of a struggle with some of the people on our team. And I've definitely noticed that the people who are better prepared end up playing better in the games and they'll get more playing time. So yeah, that's definitely a big part of it.
Preparation is key. You can't get away from that one. Thank you both for sharing so much. And so Zachary, I am going to bring you up to go through the admissions portion, but I want to remind everyone just to make sure to write your question in the chat because we'll still have Coach Emily, Miles, and Katie with us. So Zachary, I am going to bring you up and over to you.
Hello, thank you, Victoria. I do have some slides to share as well. but I do not know if I have share screen access.
Try one more time for me.
Okay, it's fixed. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
So I work with international students from Asia and Europe, and also a significant portion of Canada. So either myself or a colleague of mine, Sam Gomez, would be your admissions counselor, which basically means I help you with your entire admissions process from start to finish until you get here. So I'm going to share some general information about Calvin University and some good resources and facilities specific to international students. And then if you have any questions, I'm very eager to answer them. So we are located on the west side of Michigan in a city called Grand Rapids, Michigan. And that is the second largest city in the state of Michigan. So there's a lot to do out there. A lot of jobs that are constantly building, constantly hiring people. If you like art museums or music, concerts, athletics, all types of arts and cultures available just in the downtown area. A lot of our students, most of our students, 90% of them do an internship, at least one of them during their 4 years at Calvin University. So it's nice that we are about 5-10 minutes away from the downtown Grand Rapids area, and even surrounding. There's just so many job and internship opportunities for international students. I like Grand Rapids because it just feels very safe and everyone is very welcoming and friendly. So I'm very happy to live in the area, and I'm happy that Calvin University is also near the area too. So we have about 3,300 students on campus, and what's nice is 13% of our whole entire university is made up of international students. So that's a very significant percentage, especially for a school of our size. Like, we will have the amount of international students that bigger public universities have, like, in total, when they have way more thousands of students than us. And the students that we do get are typically high achieving. You can see the grade point averages and the standardized test scores below. That's typically the average of what we get for our applicants, but those are not minimum requirements at all. That's just the average of what we typically receive. So as far as majors and academic programs, there's over 100 different options. Our top 5 include business, engineering, computer science, nursing, and education. But we have a lot more options than just those 5. Our faculty, they are very education. They have a priority in teaching rather than research. So they are very intentional in building relationships with students and really helping their students to succeed academically. And it's very common for our students to add other majors or minors or concentrations. So if you want to stick with one major your whole time for your 4 years, you can definitely do that. But if you want to maybe get like computer science and business or business and graphic design, and you have plans in mind with your aspirations, then Calvin can help you get there. These professors and faculty are the friendliest I've met at a university. They are extremely eager to teach, eager to build relationships with students, and they really treat students as their peers and friends. So sometimes applicants ask about AP and IB information. So you can receive semester hours of college credit before you even start classes at Calvin. Up to 32 maximum hours can be transferred. We just need to see the official test scores for AB and IB. Another thing I want to mention is the connections that we have everywhere. So a big part of going to university is networking and building connections with people that can help you many years down the line. And we're lucky to have a lot of good mentors. We do have global alumni all over the world. So if you're interested in working in other parts of the world, or if you want to learn more about your field in different areas of the world, we can definitely connect you with different alumni. There's also employment partnership programs. The Career Services is an office here on campus, and they are very intentional with connecting and preparing students with potential employers. Some other opportunities for our students are research. There's a lot of students engaged in research each year, some of which are paid. Research is a very fun way for you to get a deeper relationship with your professor and to really practice what you are learning in courses in a very practical manner. And of course, that looks great on a resume when you're trying to find a job after your 4 years. If you can show that you've done research, that can make a big impact. As far as support specifically for international students, Calvin does offer a lot of great support since we have such a large percentage on campus. So there is an international orientation. It's an orientation just for international students. They come typically a few days beforehand. And you just get to connect with all the other international students. So if that's something of interest to you, then definitely check that out. We also have a Center for Intercultural Student Development. That's an office on campus that is kind of like the central hub for international students. So there's a study space there so international students can hang out with one another. And they also do a lot of programming to support our students from all over the world. They'll send out important reminders. You know, some students that we get don't have winter like Grand Rapids, Michigan does. So reminders include like, hey, get a coat. Here's great ways to prepare for the winter, things like that. They also do a lot of programs that showcase international students. There's like international worship nights and international dance recital called Rangila, which is very popular. As far as academic and tutoring and any peer mentoring, if you ever need help from anybody, it's as simple as just asking a professor or a fellow classmate or an upperclassman, and they are happy to connect you with what you need to succeed at Calvin to accomplish your goals. So as far as what you might want to do outside of the classroom and outside of career preparation, there's a lot of other things. Luckily, we have our special guest that talked about the athletics. Outside of athletics, there's a lot of student organizations that you can join. So maybe you want to join an engineering organization, or Dance Guild is our most popular student organization where they get to do dance recitals. It's great. We also have a lot of concerts and films on campus. So if there's any local musicians or movies that are playing, they'll host them right on campus. You don't even have to leave. If you want to get involved with the sport, but maybe don't want to be like a Calvin University student athlete, you can still stay active through intramurals, which is where you play against other teams on campus. So you're playing with Calvin students against Calvin students. And volleyball and basketball are definitely the two most popular intramurals. You don't have to worry about finding a place to live in the city as well, because we do have on-campus living. So all the amenities that you need to live on campus and have a good time are on campus. One aspect when you think about applying to universities is the financial aid, right? How much can the university help me so that way I can pay less out-of-pocket expenses? So Calvin is very committed to our international students, and all international students receive financial aid. At the very least, you get what's called the Mosaic Award. It's $4,000 given to all international students every year. Outside of that, there's academic scholarships, which are dependent on your grades in high school. And then there's also need-based aid. Need-based aid is where Calvin looks at your family's financial situation, like how much they make through their income or how many savings they have. And there's international student grant money that's given, and that's money that you don't have to pay back. All of this that you see here is money that you don't have to pay back at all. There's also donor funded scholarships. So they have closed out for this incoming fall 2023, but typically in December, the year before of the academic year, there will be these extra donor or name scholarships that all students can apply for once they're admitted. And there's different categories. So some might be region specific, like Canadian specific name scholarships. Some might be program specific, like only business majors can apply for this. But what's nice is that there's offerings from freshmen all the way up to senior standing students. So every year students are able to apply to these named scholarships to possibly get more money. And then being international students, you all can work on campus without any difficulty or trouble with the immigration laws. If you want to find a job on campus, if you manage to have time, if you're possibly not an athlete, there's a lot of jobs on campus for you to make some money to help make contributions towards your education. So just to summarize all of that, financial aid, merit scholarships are all automatic. The Mosaic is also automatic. The only thing that you would have to do extra is applying for some named scholarships. This need-based aid, the grant money, that's also automatic because when you apply, there's like a financial aid form as well. And then there's also a visit grant too. So if you attend a Calendly with me after today, like an individual appointment, you can get a visit grant, which is $1,000 every year for 4 years, renewable. So that's offered to our juniors and senior standing students right now. So after you apply, there is a page on our website for specifically just for Canadian applications. So just type in Canadian application Calvin University and you'll be able to find the page. But after you apply and admit it and commit to Calvin through a deposit, the immigration process is quite streamlined. So you just receive an I-20 from us. You pay the federal government's I-901 fee, and then that will allow you to book a visa immigration appointment. So all of that, it varies depending on what country you're from, right? But we have Brent Wilkinson and James Wilder. They are very helpful. All they do is just immigration and the visa process for students. So I talked about international orientation earlier. So it is about 5 days, and adult family members can also come with you to support your transition if you wish to take part in this. And it really helps with cultural immigration and logistical challenges because some students come from far overseas and they can't bring anything with them. And that's a challenge that most of our international students have. So there's also a parent program or like an adult family member program too. So you're getting the same information, but broken up to different audiences. So if you haven't already, applications are still live for this fall 2023. You have until April 1st to submit an application and submit all of your required documents. And then you will get a financial aid package. All that automatic aid that I talked about will be given to you about 2 weeks after you're formally admitted. After that, we have to verify your finances. So that way you can start the immigration process, and then you deposit. And then once you deposit, that's your way of committing to Calvin University. Complete some forms, and your transition starts with everything. So that is all I have for the presentation. Thank you for letting me share that.
Thank you, Zachary. And I'm just going to bring everyone up back on the screen. So this is an open Q&A at this time. So make sure and write your questions in the Q&A box in the Q&A box, okay? If you're watching via live stream, you can write it in the chat. So Zachary, could you just talk about like any study abroad programs that you have at the university?
Yes, a study abroad is another opportunity that's great. And a lot of international students like to keep traveling too. So that's a very common question that I receive. So study abroad options, they vary depending on the semester and year. You can actually type in off-campus programs on our website, and it'll show you all the different study abroad experiences that Calvin offers. So then it'll also correlate to like what semester this is happening in and what class that's associated with as well. What's nice is that Calvin University study abroad courses and experiences are all done in-house. So we don't hire any outside organization to plan these trips. These are developed by the faculty and actual people at Calvin, and they're the ones also leading you on these study abroad trips too. So it's a very close experience. It's very in-house, and it makes it very special. So thanks for asking that, Victoria.
You're welcome. And then what about internships? Do y'all have just programs to help students with that?
Yep. So like I said earlier, about 90% of our students do have at least one internship. So most of the programs even like require an internship. If they don't, there might be a class, like an internship experience class within that major. So it's as simple as taking part in that class, and then you'll get like authorization to get work experience or internship experience off campus, which is nice. Hopefully some of it's paid. That's even better.
Right.
But
Agreed.
yeah, internship is a great way to, alongside with research, it's just another way to get experience. So it's very common for international students to get some internships.
Okay. Well, before we wrap up today, I just want to go around and just want to know, what do you love most about Calvin University? If there's anything you want to say before we close. So I will start with Coach Emily.
Yeah, so I'm going to go from two perspectives here. One, I did go to Calvin, and I played two sports at Calvin, so it was an awesome experience for me, and I felt like I was able to grow in all areas of my life. Feel supported as a student, grow in my faith. Knew I was going to be challenged academically and compete at a really high level, and so that's kind of one of the reasons I came back to Calvin as a coach. It wasn't a shoe-in that I'd be back here. I chose the professional coaching route and was thankful that my alma mater chose me back. And you heard from Katie and Miles that they're doing some hard stuff right now. They're trying to be pre-med majors and balance academics, athletics, friendships, all that kind of stuff. And so I love that Calvin is a place that I kind of call an and school, that they can go pre-med and balance relationships and compete at a high level. All of our fall teams are ranked in the top 25. Our winter sports teams are ranked in the top 25. And so they're teams that are competing at a really high level. So they're doing things, like I said, a really high level for student athletes. So, and you can be in an area of the country where internships are available, and heck, my student athletes even find time to work while they're doing this as well. So I like that they can feel supported and be exceptional in all of those areas of their lives. So it's cool for me to be a coach at a place like Calvin.
Thank you, Coach Emily. Miles?
Yeah, for me, the biggest thing coming to Calvin, which I didn't realize would be a huge part of it, is the community. Like I've met so many friends here. My like tight friend group, they're probably the people I'm closest with, and I've only been here for 6 months. I'm a freshman, and I would consider them to be my closest friends, closer even than my high school friends, which I didn't really think would happen coming into university. Part of that too is like Coach Emily mentioned, like studying. I don't study too much with like the team, but I know I have one friend on the team who's taking the same classes I have. He's given me his old books. He's helped me with things that I've had trouble with. And just having that support system within your team within your community is like, that's a lifesaver. He definitely helped me pass a few tests. So that was really nice. And then another thing that Coach Emily mentioned is the faith aspect. I know, like I mentioned, my close friend group, we go to chapel 2-3 times a week, and it's definitely just helped me open my eyes to different parts of the faith that I hadn't really explored before. And we go to church on Sunday. There's great church communities around here. So if that's something you like to do every Sunday, there's definitely a place for you. A great community. It definitely feels like home here, even though it's only been a short few months.
Thank you, Miles. Katie?
I feel like basically everything I'm going to say is going to copy what Miles said, but I think, yeah, it's just the perfect combination of like everything you would look for in a school. You have the athletics that are like top in the conference, top in the region, but then also a lot of teams that are top in the country. You have the academics. Miles and I were actually both part of the PHAGE program. So it's a specialized research program. And so we got to do stuff that some of my older friends who are in like 4th year university at other schools haven't even got to do. And like, we're freshmen. We got to use electron microscopes at Michigan State. We're getting work published in our names, and we're freshmen. So the athletics, the academics, but then once again, I think the most important thing is the community and the faith, because you can find good academics, you can find good athletics at lots of schools. But I think that the community here is just like cannot be beat. Miles and I are part of the same friend group, so saying this is kind of like cheesy and like copied, but like our friend group genuinely, like I I found people that like I've been closer with knowing them for 6 months than I have like my lifelong friends from high school. And I still love my high school friends, but I think that my friends here, we just relate on so much. And I think once you go to a Christian school, I went to a public high school my whole life. I think going to a Christian college, it just like your friends on your team. You have your friends from your classes, and then you have your friends that you go to chapel with and your friends that you go to church with. And I just think that for me, specifically coming from a public school, that's something that I'd been missing my whole life. Like I had my team friends at home and I had my school friends, but I never had friends that like related on like my faith, which was always like the most important aspect of my life. So coming here and having like people that I go to church with and people that I can like pray with about things, people that I can go to chapel with. And like when I'm having a tough day, they're like, oh, like I'm praying for you. And they're not just saying it, but like I know they're meaning it. I think that's one of the most important things about Calvin.
Thank you, Katie and Zachary.
Yes, I mean, firstly, I really love the international population here. It's very near and dear to my heart, and I'm happy to continue to work with international students. So if you want to meet with people from all over the world, Calvin is a great place, and we really love and showcase our international students. And then also, I think spirituality is very important, and students should be free to explore that, whatever their faith is. And it's nice where no matter what faith you are, Calvin, the students and the professors, they're willing to talk about differences in faith or just faith in general. Whereas other schools that I've been to, like just faith, the topic of faith or spirituality was an uncomfy thing, right? So it's just a very comforting place to be at Calvin. It's a great place to call home, a great place to connect with others as well.
Thank you, Zachary. Well, thank you all for sharing. Miles, Coach Emily, Katie, and Zachary for coming and sharing Calvin University with us today. It has definitely been a pleasure. We just want to thank everyone who came and joined us today in the Zoom room and are watching us via live stream. Thank you those who asked questions, and we look forward to seeing you next time on the College Tracker Show. Thank you. Bye.